Join Gator great Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
You were ready to roll? I couldn't hear you. Couldn't hear you, Zach. Couldn't hear you. So it's PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. It's game week, folks. We made it. We are a few days away from when toe meets leather in the swamp, 3:30. We'll have a good show today. We'll have JC. He's back from his world travels. We'll also have Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com. Just give us his thoughts on leading up to this Miami game. If you missed it, somebody on this show predicted the Ramblin' Wreck to win the game. I've tried to tell people just because teams were good last year don't mean they're going to be good this year. But the semis are the semis, and they got dominated on the offense and defensive line, and according to some of the so-called experts in the country, said that they had the number one defensive line in America. Well, let me tell you something. The Ramblin' Wreck ran it right down their throats. So I know a lot of Gator fans are excited, but Georgia Tech deserved to win that game, and they did. So we got Bobby Dodd on the program today, it looks like.
Yeah,
good morning,
man.
JC. How you doing?
Well, hey, good. Glad to be back stateside. The trip of a lifetime for me. It was wonderful, and I miss everybody, but I just experienced something that I had been hoping for, and it all worked out exactly how I was planned. I just have to say that my host, Skipper of Golf Zoo, and our driver, his name was Scott Walker, were above and beyond. I mean, they were better than Jamal Haynes, okay? And that's hard to say because Jamal Haynes ran all over Florida State, but I love those two guys, and Scotty was great, toting us around from St. Andrews to all the great golf courses in Scotland, where it was about 54 degrees. So in about 3 months, it might feel like that here. But right now, we're getting ready for a big week. And QB, it seems like to me this offseason has just lasted longer than many because perhaps we just talked about so many things that really never had anything to do with the game on the field. And we got a taste of that this weekend, even though I missed the Georgia Tech Ramblin' Wreck, just trucking up and down the field on Florida State. And look, we talked about it. I said the 13.5 points was an absolute joke. I think that was the easiest bet I've seen in a long, long time this early in the year because you can't replace all those guys and all those dudes FSU had and expect the same result from a bunch of new guys that have never played on the field for that unit, for that team. Now, I think they'll get better, but I also think Georgia Tech will continue to get better. And offensively, you were right. That line, I watched some of the highlights. They did. They just moved FSU, and that was kind of, I think, the biggest surprise. And this makes Clemson, I think, right now, the favorite to win the ACC. But don't count out these guys. And, I don't think it's over for Florida State, but they've got a lot of work.
Let me tell you something. Florida State has Memphis rolling in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
They're not going to beat Memphis, I don't think. I'm telling you, look,
Oh.
I don't – well, Saban picked Memphis to go to the playoffs. He called them Memphis State, by the way.
Yeah, really.
I do not like Florida State, obvious reasons. But when I watched them last year, they were a good football team. I didn't think they were great. Jordan Travis was a unique college player. I don't think he'll ever translate to the pros. They had some other good players here and there. But they lost too many players that had them winning games. And I'm telling you, this dude playing quarterback for them is not very good, and it just blows my mind. No. It's no different than the National Football League that keep drafting these guys that look like him that can't play. They think they can make them a quarterback. You either you have that natural instinct to play the position or you don't. Doesn't matter how strong your arm is, how big you are, how fast you are. None of that has anything to do with playing that position. And this dude can't play. We don't need to talk about
what do you think Mike Norvell saw in Uge and DJ?
JC, these coaches, and especially coaches that probably didn't play the position, they think they can take a guy and turn. And it's no different than when people draft Justin Fields. They draft Achilles Smith. They drafted the big dude from. They went to the Raiders, Jamarcus Russell. Look, you can tell when a guy knows how to play the position. And after 3 games at Clemson, I was like, this guy, he looks really good in shorts in combines because the bullets aren't flying. You don't have to throw it in windows like this. You're throwing it on air. So anyway, they think they can turn them into quarterbacks. And look, DJ may end up being better as the year progresses.
I think he will.
He's not going to look. At one point in the game, he was like 12 or 14 for 85 yards, and the ball had not passed the line of scrimmage.
Well, I think his average was 7 yards or something. His average pass.
Yeah,
so I don't know. I mean, Brett Key. Listen, let's give credit to Tech.
We talked about him. Look, they have won in their last. I think they're 7-2 in their last 9 games. You know who their 2 losses are to?
Georgia.
Yep.
And
the Clemson Tigers.
Clemson, yeah, Georgia, Clemson. I mean, they dominated their bowl game. So listen, that program is on the upswing. I hope the people in Atlanta understand that. Wake up! They got 2 teams now in Georgia because you're right. This offensive line was for I love seeing that. I love the way they manhandled Florida State, and I think Brent Key's obviously showing us what he can do, and he's doing it right now. So King is not going to win the Heisman Trophy, but he's a guy that can manage a game and get you into the end zone.
He's very athletic. He can throw the football. They don't ask him to do a lot.
That's all I'm saying.
What was interesting is Georgia Tech, and they're playing, obviously watching tape, and like they were watching last year's team, watching tape. They said, we can run it down their throat. Yeah. And they did.
That's right.
So, all right, let's get to a couple of these, bunch of these texts real quick.
Good.
This is from Daryl. Good morning, guys. Great weekend. FSU lost and Team Florida won the Little League Championship. FSU has QB issues. Yeah, congratulations. I think those team, Winter Park, I think that little team was from.
Good.
It's pretty exciting. I saw the end of it. Chris from Mayaca on the Titan of our text line. He says he turned $20 into 80 on Saturday morning by betting GT would win outright.
Excellent. Well done. That's 4-1. Excellent. All
right.
Yeah.
Here's another text. Welcome back, JC. I don't know who this is from. Says QB, I took the Rambling Wreck for $25, won 106. Took JC advice, hedged my bet with 25 on the under. 3-week total, taking you guys' advice, has now paid over 300. Go Gators. I don't bet on them.
I love it.
My heart is too much into it.
Well, I think that's nothing wrong with that, man. You don't have to bet on your favorite team, but you can play and make some money on the others. I think that's great.
Jason in Pensacola on the Titan More Text and says, guess FSU is going to file suit on Georgia Tech for keeping them out of the playoffs this season.
Oh, I mean, I'm just so glad we don't have to hear these whiners anymore talking about how great they are. I remember the year they played Alabama to open the season, and DeAndre Francois and Jimbo Fisher were going to take them to the promised land. They went anywhere but that. So here's a picture of a listener of our show named Rob. And Rob's, and there we are on Delta, if you can see it. So I'm walking in, I'm sitting in my seat, and he's behind the bulkhead, and he heard my voice as I walked in.
Because you were being loud, I'm sure.
And he came around up the hallway and said, JC, you're going to Scotland tonight. And so we have listeners everywhere. And I can promise you we now have some new ones in Scotland. So thank you for saying hello, Rob. I hope he and Ashley had a great time.
JC, Scotland. How many ounces of beer did you drink on this trip? What was the over-under set?
I've got to get back. I blew my exercise. It wasn't as much as I feared, but we didn't. I mean, we had a couple pints. We'll say that.
The food, did you like the food?
I didn't ruin my week. Oh, no. Listen, in St. Andrews, where they had the Women's British Open, by the way, and I watched that, was outstanding. I had no issues. We ate at an Italian restaurant on the last night. We ate at but not just Italian. We ate a lot of Scottish food, and I don't know. It was fine.
Maybe it's gotten better since 2007 when I went.
Yes, I mean, we were on the top of the Roosevelt Hotel, looking down on the night before the Women's British Open, and it was spectacular. I had a 5-pound porterhouse. I ate the sides where the filet was, and food was outstanding. The potatoes, the carrots, the vegetables, no issues with the food, man. I have no issue. My stomach, my system just went right on through it. And the weather, you get the rain, then you get the sun, but we did not have a lot of rain, but it was it was cold and the wind was blowing between 20 and 30 miles an hour. So we had a lot of adjustments to make, but it was a great experience and I'll never forget it. But and it was made by some of the guys that helped us get there and while we were there, Scott and Skip. But
speaking of golf,
yeah.
Okay, I don't like to bring this up, but I'm bringing it up.
Okay,
It's insanity.
What happened?
So LPGA Tour, obviously, that was not part of the LPGA Tour. What we saw the British Open, the Women's British Open, but qualifying going on this week. There's a dude named Haley something that's trying to qualify on the LPGA Tour.
Oh my God.
It's just, it's insane.
I didn't know that, but we saw Nelly Korda, we saw Lydia Ko, we saw some.
Yeah, but these are the girls that are trying to get their LPGA Tour card at Q School, and they got a dude out there playing. I mean, come on, people!
I don't know when
this is the most ridiculous stupidity.
I don't know.
If they want to do all that, that's fine, and going off into the real world and all that. But when it comes to athletics, it's insane.
I don't. Well, I think my feelings have been known. I don't want.
Yeah, I know. Everybody watches this show know how we feel about it, and nobody's ever going to change it because if you think that's okay,
normal,
you're a moron.
Well, you got some issues there.
You got problems. Okay. All right. So, by the way, we just got a text on the Titan MR text line from Jimmy. He says every underdog in college football covered this week.
How about that? So that means that Nevada covered against
SMU struggling. I think SMU is very, very good. Their quarterback's coming off an injury, so they played two quarterbacks. But I watched a little bit of that game. But I think, because Nevada had a new coach that came from Texas. He brought some Texas players, so they looked decent.
They looked all right.
Then New Mexico was an underdog to Montana State. Do you know who New Mexico's coach is, JC?
Yeah, it's a guy who's actually quite well known.
Yeah, I was shocked. I had no idea he was their coach.
I didn't either. But is it? Tell me real quick.
It's Bronco Mendenhall.
Bronco Mendenhall from BYU. No, that's going to be an improved football program.
Yeah, it's his first year.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing. He's done it before, and he's very experienced. He's going to get some guys to come to New Mexico. They'll be better. But this weekend we're going to learn a lot, QB. This is where we're going to get some answers for a lot of programs. There's 3 games, QB. Think about this on ABC. Georgia, Clemson to start the day. Florida, Miami in the middle of the day, and you end it with Notre Dame at Texas A&M. So you're going to have coaches who need wins in the middle of the day. You're going to have 2 coaches who are established and national champion type coaches in the beginning of the day. And then at the end of the day, you're going to have a brand new coach and a coach who's trying to create something at Notre Dame. It's a huge, massive, wonderful TV watching football soaking in day Saturday. It's like a national holiday, QB. Can we just say August 31st has become, for this year of 2024, it's a holiday. It has to be. It has to be. I mean, look at those games. And those are just the ones on ABC.
Well, the holiday is on Monday.
The holiday it's called Labor Day. So I agree with you there, but there's a lot of games. I mean, those are the 3 highlighted games that I just pointed out. But man, if you love football, you can sit there with 3 TVs on and be entertained literally for 14 hours on Saturday. It's going to be tremendous. And I know all the Gator fans and some of the Cane fans that are coming up can't wait to just get out there and get after it on a hot, sweaty day in Gainesville, which is exactly what it should be. And it looks like the weather's going to be great. So we'll have a great day.
Yeah, we will. YouTube brought to you by Quality Plumbing. Justin says, read that FSU's D-line put the screws to their collective, threatening to transfer, and the collective gave in and paid these kids a ton of money.
You know what?
All just to get bullied by some Georgia Tech 3-stars.
Yeah, let me tell you something. These kids can go and hit the road, man. Don't let that bus run out of gas taking you out of town. Just get on it and leave. If all you're thinking about is how much money you're going to get paid, you're going to get run over on that football field by a bunch of dudes that actually want to be on that football field, okay? How many Georgia Tech guys are rolling in $400,000 this year? I doubt it, but you saw those kids match up and go up and down the field in a football game. This is not a business decision here. This is a football team. And look, in Florida State, look, let them go 5-6, and we'll see how many of those players are looking for paychecks. They'll be looking to play somewhere.
Well, they're getting their paychecks regardless if they win the game or not.
Maybe they are. Maybe they are.
Well,
but
they are.
It won't last them for a lifetime. I can promise you that. That money will go away fast.
Mark says Georgia will dominate Dabo. I don't know. I think it's going to be a good game against Clemson.
You think Klubnik is going to be somebody that has a chance against that defense? I mean, I think he will.
I do. I think it'll be a very entertaining game.
Well, it's going to be at 12 o'clock, and they really lined us up great for this weekend. I mean, they lined us up great. Those 3 games, QB, think about those programs all playing on those 3 days, on that one day.
Yeah.
Right after.
So tomorrow's program we'll have Buddy, and we'll have former Hurricane Lamar Thomas, and on Wednesday we'll have JC and Gino Torretta. So there you have it. There's your lineup.
Winner.
We got some Canes.
You got some Canes coming in. I just can't wait to hear why they think this could be their year to make the college football playoff. And they really believe it, QB. They really
the fans do. I mean, look, Lamar loves his Hurricanes, and he's going to talk trash on here tomorrow. That's just what Lamar does. But Gino have a little more head on straight,
Well, I mean, Lamar is a smart guy. We know Lamar, and he knows actually probably inside his inner sanctum whether or not that team's got a real chance. But they think they've added some players that are going to take them to the promised land in the postseason. They're a 2.5-point favorite, by the way. I walked into Ladbrokes in St. Andrews right there in between Market Street and North Street and South Street, and they got Miami as a 3-point favorite. So people respect Miami.
Yeah, a lot of people do. This is a
they
text.
also
Let me get this.
Florida State too, and that.
Yeah, I mean everybody. Like I said. Everybody's talked about how great Miami's D-line and O-line is, which
how do you know?
Maybe they're good. But
I don't know that.
The publication said that Florida State had the best defensive line in America. So, like I said, you got to go play the game.
Yeah.
This is from, I don't know who this is from, says ETN will maybe run for 250 yards against Clemson. I will take that wager and say there's no way in hell he does that.
First of all, that guy is questionable to play.
He may not even play in the game, 1. 2, he's going to be sharing the ball with like 3 or 4 other running backs, and Georgia is not going to run for 200-plus yards on the Clemson Tigers. I can promise you that.
Yeah, no. I'll take the under for all you want on that rushing totals prop bet. There's another couple good ones. You got Penn State, West Virginia that's a rivalry type game. Up there in the state of Pennsylvania. That game's going to be in West Virginia. I know those fans are just chomping at the bit for that one up there. And then like I said, for the football lover, there's plenty of stuff to watch and a lot of good, interesting matchups. But mostly just games that are just out there to kind of get your appetite. And then Sunday, we've got LSU playing Southern California. I don't think Lincoln Riley wanted this to open the season, but they're going to play it in Las Vegas.
LSU has not won an opener
That's right.
in several years.
And we don't know if they can stop. Look, USC can score 100 points on them. Who knows? But the LSU could also do that to them. And then, of course, we get a Monday night. We'll talk about this in a week, but we get a Monday night Labor Day redo for Florida State as they take on the Golden Eagles of Boston College.
Look out, because their quarterback is not bad.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Their quarterback is better than DJU.
Yes. And I can promise you Boston College is going to be physical up front. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes for them. But that's a week from tonight. So
I can't wait for Thursday night on the ACC network. The Catamounts roll into Raleigh-Durham.
Curling.
And face the Wolfpack. So that should be fun.
Yeah.
Mark says, how old was Gino when he won the Heisman? No, Gino's my age, so we're the same age. He's 54, so he's probably 22. He may have been 23 his senior year when he won it. Gino's a good dude. Very successful down in Miami.
Yeah,
financial planner type guy. Has his own radio called Touchdown Radio. I've called some games for him, so it's pretty cool. Nice. Brandon says, QB, I found some old Gator ticket stubs. Guess the cost for a ticket for the 1994 Tennessee game was $22.
Man. And those stubs, I don't know how many of those you get anymore because everything's so digitized.
You don't get them. You don't get them
right
anymore.
So now you got this, but those stubs are cool to look at. if you're one of those kinds of fans. And
Speaking of money, now I was flipping through the channels last night, JC, and we had a battle of the Will Muschamp Gator quarterbacks starting the game: Jacoby Brissett versus Jeff Driscoll.
Yeah,
they've both been in the league for 8 or 9 years, and good for them.
Yeah.
I mean, they're both smart. Both of them are pretty accurate passers. But Jacoby, just think of this: he may have played a little bit more than I've played. Do you know what he's making this year as the backup?
$5 million.
$8 million.
Yeah, he's been around.
I came around at the wrong time.
Well, you did, but QB. The thing is, he actually started for the Colts in during a couple seasons as their man, but
only for a few games. I don't think for the whole year, right?
No, I don't think so, because I think he was also one of those guys prone to injury a little bit sometimes. At Cleveland, I think he started.
Got hurt last night.
Yeah, he played the Browns. So, but he's made a good little career out of it for himself.
He's made a damn good career. He's made a ton of money.
Yeah,
he's a good dude, good kid too. So good for both of those guys.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's good to see.
Anyway, we got a text here on the Titan More text line from Larry. He says, "JC, how difficult was playing golf over there?"
It was quite difficult because of the wind. The rain did not affect us that badly. Maybe for about 20 minutes on one day and about 5 or 10 minutes the next, but it goes through so fast, but you have to be prepared for it because it comes in sideways and hard. But I will tell you that if you don't have a caddy, you
can't play if you don't have a caddy.
Yeah, you won't know what you're doing out there. You don't know where to hit it. The hills, we walked it. I must have walked 35 miles last week. We walked every day. And the hardest course for me, because of the conditions, was called the Castle course, the St. Andrews Castle course. But my favorite two courses was a course called Kings Barnes and a new course called Dumbarney, excuse me. And that was.
Did y'all play the Renaissance Club?
We did. That's
a Renaissance.
Yes, but
or
what
however
we
they pronounce it.
The way we set it up, what I loved so much was that we were based in St. Andrews, and the guy came and got us and took us to each place, and none of the drives were over an hour, none of them. And we got there an hour early to kind of soak it all in. And again, it was a trip of a lifetime. I highly recommend it. And St. Andrews is a lovely, lovely town. People are very friendly and open. It is clean. They had garbage trucks out there every single day picking up stuff. And maybe that had to do with the tournament being in town. But the old course is nothing great that I think has to be played. Unless you're just into the history and the nostalgia of it all, which is fine. That's great. But the scenery is just as good for me. And we walked up and down, out and back. But it was just a lifetime experience. It really was. I loved it.
Billy asked on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mental Law. QB, did you see Danny Cannell crying how the refs cheated FSU on the final try?
This is what they do over there. I mean,
it is. I will say this because when I was watching the game. When I was watching the game, I'll go, "Why did you run out of bounds?" He didn't really run. The tackle took him out of bounds. Personally, clock should have stopped. But I don't know. I don't know if DJ could have completed. I don't know how much time if you go and break it down how the scenario would have worked out.
Seeing how they acted last year, dude. Seeing how they acted last year. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Just
seeing how they acted. Okay.
Yeah, they acted. Look, they would have got their brains beat out by Georgia.
Yes.
If anybody in America had any complaining to do last year about college football, it's the Georgia Bulldogs not being in the 14 playoff. Okay.
Yes, and seeing how these FSU fans reacted tells me they have the biggest inferiority complex of any school in college football. It's unbelievable how they always think they get screwed the wrong way. But you're right. Excuse me. Go ahead with your thought, QB.
Well, we got a text here from Joe.
Yeah. Okay, Joe.
Beachland Dental.
Oh, Joe, my guy. Getting ready for Bahamas.
Joe decided to put $100.
Oh yeah.
On the Ramblin' Wreck to win the game.
400, 4-1 for Joe.
$425. He sent me his little screenshot here.
Joe, whatever we can do for you, brother. We do love Joe. And Joe Lawson is a great guy. We'll see him in the Bahamas, God willing. Guy who went through a lot of hardship with that hurricane that hit his area, is thriving now like I knew he would. And 4-1 odds. If you take that on an opening weekend, that means you believe. And the QB and JC are here to bring that belief to you. It's a belief system, QB. Look at our golf picks. Can anybody in America even compare their golf picks to these? I mean, dear Lord. And now here we get started on football with an outright dog, double digits, and an outright winner. This is the show you watch if you like money, and this is the show you watch if you like results. Otherwise, you can go to the rest of them and fall asleep and then wait for us to come back on.
All right, so Florida victorious joined today to help make Florida victorious. A few more minutes with JC, then we'll talk Gator football with Scott Carter.
Scott Carter.
Zach says on Facebook, no, this is YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plum. QB, you touched on this already. I'm sorry. Why are fans supposed to wear white? Zach, I have no idea. Wear whatever you want. So you know how on Twitter and all that stuff, the marketing department always sends out fans wear white, fans wear all, orange, wear blue to the game, So they told them to wear white. I don't know why. I assume our uniform combinations have already come out. I don't like some of them, but we're wearing blue jerseys. We're wearing traditional uniforms.
That's what they should be wearing. That's
right. But I can't answer your question, Zach. I don't know why we're wearing white. Maybe they want to white out. Maybe they're trying to make it look like Penn State or something.
Oh, no. We're not Penn State. We are not Penn State. We are not Penn State. We will never be Penn State. Nobody wants to be Penn State unless they like looking up at the big brother, looking down on over there in Ohio. So, no, man. I don't know. Maybe they're saying wear white because it's going to be a steamer, 90-degree day. But who cares? That's what we have here in Florida. We love it here. That's what we want. I just got out of 54-degree weather with 20-mile-an-hour wind gusts, and I said to myself, I think I'm ready to get back to the humidity. Get me back to that heat. But, no, man, I'm just thrilled. We're going to have a real day at the Swamp with some sweaty Gator fans and Cane fans. Look out.
Yeah.
Look out.
Be careful where you tailgate because their fans sometimes are out of control.
But they're outnumbered. Think of it that way. And
no, I know that, but their fan base
you're gonna hear them.
Is not their fan base is not the people that actually went to the school. All right, Andy asked on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law, how can the Gators be a 2.5-point underdog to the Canes, yet ESPN says the Gators have a 58% chance to win? I don't know, Andy. I think, look, I'm not sold on Miami. They're going to have to beat our ass to prove that. Just because I'm not sold on anybody out of the Atlantic Coast Conference. Okay.
Oh, you're sold.
I still think Clemson is the premier team in that conference.
Yeah.
Because they've done it year in and year out. I did not think Florida State was very good last year. I didn't think they were good this year. Georgia Tech, I love what they did to them, but I don't know how they're favored over us.
The only thing I can come up with is that the odds makers love these new players.
Well, let's just put it this way: the odds makers were wrong on every game that's been played so far this year.
Very wrong, and that's the thing. When you look at our schedule at Florida, how do you know how hard it is yet? Now it looks hard on paper, but they don't play on paper.
That's and those teams, whatever their record was last year, doesn't mean their record's going to be the same this year.
Including the one
example,
you're wearing right now.
The semis. All right, JR asked Shane prediction on how many games the Gators win this year. I'm kind of open to prediction, but here's what I will tell you.
Not doing it.
This is my personal opinion. There are two teams that I think that are clearly better than us, and I don't think we can beat them. Texas and Georgia. I think everybody else on the schedule is beatable. I don't think they're that much better if they are any better than us. I think we have to get some turnovers, and the entire season will come down to the front seven of the mighty Gator defense.
Yes. And I do think that between games 1 and games 2, you'll see some improvement. So I think Florida State should play better Monday, but I don't care about them anymore. But QB, that's it, man. You just said it. This season will be defined by how that defense keeps teams out of the end zone or keeps games in control, in reach, so that maybe the offense can win some. And that happened against South Carolina last year. So we'll see. I don't know. I mean,
but our defense has got to play better than average because JC, I can't remember in the last 2 years, ever since Billy's been the coach, I have not remembered us kick a field goal or score a touchdown, kick off, 2 plays later, the other team turn it over, and we only have to go like 22 yards to take a 2-score lead. We have not had that. That's how you get momentum, and that's how you put games away. So,
Well,
anyway,
yeah, we got to keep this Martinez kid in check, and I know that he's just one guy. Okay, he's going to need a lot more help.
you got to stop
a
the
good player,
run
though.
and make Cam Ward throw the football.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's it. There you go.
I'm getting all these texts about the Hard Rock app. Let's see what this one says.
We're just killing it with the Hard Rock app, man.
This is from Chris and Mayaka. You can double your money right now on the Hard Rock app if you think the Gators win more than 4.5 games this year.
Yes, you got now. They're making you lay some odds because of how ridiculous that win total is. Meaning that the odds of them doing better than 4.5 are pretty good. Which means you're going to have to, if you want to take that bet and get an easy win, you're going to have to lay some juice. But listen, a winning ticket pays you back the juice. So if you're okay with it, you're okay with it.
So Kevin says on the Titan More text line, Jacoby and Driscoll should sue Muschamp for ruining their draft stock. Both them dudes have been in the league for 9 years.
We just talked about these guys. They have bank accounts. They're real bank accounts.
Hell, I didn't even get drafted. They both got drafted. Jacoby was like a 3rd-round draft pick.
Yeah, he played at NC State, right? After he got done.
Yeah. Well, they were both here at the same time. So
that's right. Jacoby, that's right. Brissett and Driscoll. Well,
right,
listen, man. Are you waiting on Scott? He'll get you set up. The two guys that I think about with this Miami team are Damian Martinez and Cam Ward, I guess, obviously. But I don't know how good Cam Ward is. He played at Washington State last year. We're supposed to believe he's this and he's that. He's not Andre Ware, okay? He is not Andre Ware. So I'm just gonna hold judgment on some of this, just like we should with the other teams in week 1. You just don't know how bad Tennessee or good Tennessee will be. And same thing with LSU. And the same thing with Florida, and the same thing with Texas A&M. You think they're going to have what they're going to have, but we gotta see it, and then we'll know what the schedule really looks like. Okay, because the talking season is over. It's over.
By the way, the Gators got a big commit yesterday. Nashawn Montgomery out of somewhere down in Miami, big time receiver, committed to the Gators yesterday. All right, JC. Go get some sleep. How many naps you going to take today?
Man, I can't. Don't have time. Got to go to work. Got to pay for this thing. But I'm thinking, look, I'm wide awake. Right now, to me, it's 1:30 in the afternoon. So I'm fine. But thanks, guys. Glad to be back and looking forward to a great week.
All right. We'll see you on Wednesday. That's JC. Join us on the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Tent. When we come back, we'll be talking to the senior writer for FloridaGators.com, Scott Carter. You're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back. We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills.
Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, Titan MRI, Meldon Law, Peachland Dental, QC Kinetics, Campus USA Credit Union, Dave & Buster's. Gridiron sponsors, Comfort Temp, UF Bookstores, Quality Plumbing, Silverback Concrete, Ruse Ogra State Farm, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, F45. Our touchdown sponsors, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Aikido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteaks, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, MG&A Wealth, Nest and Wild.
If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Hi there, this is Coach Steve Spurrier, and I want to let you know that by popular demand, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill's delicious brunch is now served in a premium buffet. You have spoken, we have listened, and we're now serving Gainesville's only elevated buffet, complete with an omelet station, ginger sage chicken sausage, shredded short rib, and of course our chicken and waffles. Plus, you can enjoy bottomless mimosas and Bloody Marys. So join us every Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 3 for the best brunch in town.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Ruse Ogre State Farm Office is a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visit ogreinsurance.com. Give them a call at 352-240-1779. Going to go back to the Titan More Hotline. courtesy of Comfort Tent. We're joined by senior writer from FloridaGators.com, Scott Carter. How we doing, Scott?
Good morning, Shane. Man, just glad we're finally at a game week. It felt like talking season went to triple overtime this year. I was just tired of it. So I'm glad we have a game.
You're probably tired of writing articles on stuff that, you got to do a lot of research on. You got to call a bunch of people to do stories on certain players. You're ready to just talk about the opponent and the outcome, right?
Yeah, the games are what gets everybody excited. We finally get to see a little bit of this Gators team. And, you're always talking about season openers. Well, guess what? We got a real season opener this year. I mean, Miami, Florida to kick off the season. I mean, if you're a Gator fan or a Cane fan, it's not going to get much better than that. So I'm excited to see what it looks like on Saturday. And, we'll go from there. But as far as anticipation, this is the best season opener, I think, in a long time for me.
There's no question. And it's the most important one we've had in my Gator lifetime. Scott, let's talk about obviously they started, I think, Thursday. They worked all summer on certain things for Miami, but really kind of hone in on your opponent. I think they started Thursday, but they'll get in normal game prep starting today. From an injury standpoint, let's start with Montreal Johnson. Yeah. I personally think he's going to play. I haven't been out there since the scrimmage, and obviously he wasn't part of that scrimmage. Just your thoughts. Do you think he plays, and how do we look health-wise?
I mean, Montreal, I think it's kind of a 50-50 deal. I won't be surprised at all if he plays, Shane. I mean, it's an issue that you can come back from pretty quickly. Having said that, it's all up to him, really. And from what Billy said, if he feels like he's ready to go on Saturday, he'll play. If not, he won't. I think it's kind of still up in the air, but we'll find out more, obviously, if we see him more involved in practice this week. So that'll be the giveaway there. But as far as injuries overall, I mean, compared to a lot of camps, I think the Gators came out of this one better than some years. I mean, Jamari Lyons obviously was a big loss in the nose tackle position. He was going to play. He was going to play a lot. Unfortunately, he's out, and now they're going to have to work around him with, moving some of those outside guys in. Maybe Des Watson resurfaces again and can do something in his final year. But overall, Shane, to my knowledge, as of Thursday afternoon, the health is pretty good.
I just saw Tony's Facebook Live. He says Shane is filming at the Heisman House today. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna put my little replica jersey on today. It's game week. Get people excited. That's pretty damn funny though. Yeah, that's hilarious. All right, Andy's question for you on Facebook Live, and I'll give my thoughts as well. Brought to you by Mellon. Do you think Miles Graham gets any playing time this season? Since his spring surgery, we haven't heard anything about him.
Yeah, I mean, he's had a quieter spring. He was down the depth chart through fall. I look at Miles as a case with all the freshmen. I mean, some guys are going to stand out right away. I think a lot of Gator fans just assume because of his stature on the recruiting trail, he was going to come in here and be a star right away. That's not going to happen unless he improves tremendously from here to mid-season and breaks out in the second half. He also, had some health issues that he had to overcome. You just don't have your back surgery, and then you just bounce back up out of bed ready to play football. I mean, so it takes time, even when you're young. So I do think the Gators are really high on Miles Graham. I think he has all the tools to be an excellent linebacker at Florida. But is he plug and play ready right now? Still got a little work to do.
Yeah, I think I know they love Miles and it's Aaron Childs, both of them. I think you'll see them both participate a lot in special teams. Mm-hmm. I don't know in every down situations. I don't see it this year. Look, you got to be ready to play. You got to buckle your chin strap and be ready physically to play that position at this level. You got to be a unique athlete, but they're going to be really good players for us. And in linebacker play, I mean, if anybody watched Florida State, Georgia Tech, Florida State's linebacker play was atrocious. Yeah. I'm talking as bad as I've seen in college football in years. And I don't even know who those guys are. but whatever. It was good to see them get their butts beat. Clint asked on Facebook Live, on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plum, could we possibly see 3 to 4 running backs to keep everyone fresh? Yes. If you think about it, last year we played 3 running backs. We played ETN, Montrell, and Trayon Webb.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to see the same thing. That's just what Billy does.
Yep.
And I love our running back room.
I think it's one of the strengths of the team. I really do. When Montrell went down, in my mind, it wasn't. You always hate to see a veteran guy like that go down. And Montrell's such a good guy. You hope he gets back fast. But it wasn't where you're ready to wave the white flag because of Jaden Baugh and Trayon Webb and Katie Daniels, and now Jacoby Jackson's emerged. So that group's in good hands. I think they'll get production from the running game with or without Montrell on Saturday. And like you said, Shane, I think Billy has proven that's his MO. He's he's got Montrell's clearly the number 1 back this year. I think you might see his carries go up a little bit if fully healthy compared to splitting with ETN the past 2 years. But he's definitely going to want to get Ball, Webb, and those other guys some touches.
Ted's question on Facebook Live brought to you by Mellon Law. How much playing time will LJ McCray get? I'll go first. I think LJ McCray can be a guy that can cause problems. I think he's so athletic for his size. I think out of all the true freshmen, he's the one that has to make plays, and I think he will make plays for us this year.
Well, LJ, he was the freshman that caught my eye the most, when I walked out there and saw those new guys for the first time, Shane. I put him in the Miles Graham camp a little bit. I think he's still got some development physically he needs to do, but I think he'll get more opportunities maybe to go out there and make those plays early on just because of, the position, the need, and also the talent. And, again, it's like every other freshman. What's he do with that opportunity is going to determine how much he plays.
Yeah, agreed. Graham asked on YouTube, brought to you by Quiet Plum, what time's Billy's presser today?
Starts approximately around 11:45 to noon. So I think they listed 11:45, but so not too long.
They pretty much run that live feed on like YouTube and Twitter and stuff, right?
Yeah, you watch it live on YouTube, Twitter. I'll be there. I'll be tweeting stuff. I'll tweet those links as well. So if you want to watch it, there's plenty of platforms to catch it on.
Michael's question for you, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. Does Scott think we will have improved physicality this year on both sides of the ball?
I did see that in camp, and that was one of those things that was one of my biggest question marks, because I don't care how much incoming talent you have. You've got to make it look different on the field. And obviously the biggest step, guys, in that progression was what they did in the weight room in the offseason. When you're adding some muscle, you're adding some physicality to your approach in the weight room, that tends to carry over to the football field. And I think it's just so important for this program where they are right now, because they have to be tougher. They have to tackle better. They have to get more than 3 interceptions. There's a lot of things that physicality plays into whether or not this team is going to be improved this year, and a lot of that is square on the defense. That's the biggest area that I'm really watching. I think the defense has to have significant improvement if the team is going to be a lot better.
Well, you and I are on the same page. I've been preaching it all summer long.
Yeah,
the front seven.
Yeah.
The front seven plays like they've played the last few years.
Not going to matter.
We're going to be slaughtered here with questions and people bitching and complaining. Yeah. They are the key to the entire season.
I think the Gators averaged, I don't know what it was. It was 26 points last year or something. They
coming offensively?
Yeah.
It was a little over 28, I believe.
Okay, they scored enough points.
Yeah.
But obviously the game has changed. It's more offensive game now. But if you scored 28, 29 points a game at your average, if your defense is playing well, you're going to win 9, 10 games most years.
Yeah. And I really think, and I could be proven wrong, when you know you're so bad on defense, you sometimes try to play keep away.
Yeah.
And I feel like we were very methodical at times. Now, I'm not saying we're going to come in here and go up tempo, no huddle every damn series. But I think you might see something different this year. Dan's question for you, Scott, on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law. Any thoughts on recognizing the '84 team and others that finished first in the SEC?
Yeah, I would be all for that, Shane. I mean, I know that I've gotten a lot of emails this summer about that. I know there's some discussion, obviously, externally and even internally. Uh, it's been 40 years since the '84 team. A lot of those guys, sadly, I've written a lot about some of those guys passing away in recent years, Jeff Zimmerman and Alonzo Johnson. So you would like to see those teams get their due. Because I'll be honest with you, I mean, the first Florida team that I really ever remember was that '84 team because I was a teenager and, hey, the Gators are suddenly good. I just moved to Florida and I was looking to latch on to something good. And, well, guess what? The '84 Gators were that. And so we'll see what that looks like. But yes, I would be all for those teams being honored and, giving them some recognition where it's due because they did it on the field, man.
Yep. Silverback Concrete builds firm foundations for generations. You stand on it, we stand by. A few more minutes with senior writer for FloridaGators.com, Scott Carter here on the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Tim. All right, we got a text here. Pretty good one here. I'm going to chime in. I want you to chime in. This is from Billy. He says, I have heard that Callaway has been calling the plays majority of the time during these scrimmages. Do you think he calls the plays on Saturday, or will Billy call the plays?
Well, so
I guess he's got inside scoop.
Also, Billy's calling in to ask about the Billy calling plays. That's pretty.
You think
good.
that's Billy Napier that just chimed in?
Yeah, I was surprised.
Let me look at the text number and see if it matches with Coach Napier's number.
No, yeah, he did I know Callaway called most of the plays. I think the first scrimmage that was kind of part of the plan. But Billy Napier's still going to be heavily involved in play calling. That's his nature. That's what he does. I mean, but obviously Callaway giving him this extra duty, I think he'll be involved heavily. I mean, that's just how play calling works, Shane. I mean, it's ultimately a team effort up until it's time to call the play. Right. And that's where the head coach almost always has final say, unless he's just totally hands off on the offense. And that's not Billy Napier. So that's kind of what I expect to happen. I'll let your take.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. Because I mean, Billy calls a play and it's 3rd and 3, and he's like, hey, Chris Hill, I need our best run right now. Give me your best run. They talk about it over the headset. He calls it in. So, it's not like, I think some people think Billy goes into his office and puts a plan together without talking about anybody, talking to any of the other coaches. And the way it works is, as I've explained many times here, Billy Gonzalez is part, I'm just assuming, usually your wide receiver coach has a part to do with the passing game, looks and breaks down, okay, on 3rd and 7 to 8, 3rd and 9 to 12. This is what they normally play. This is where we can attack, blah, blah, blah. And he may have the red zone package as well. O-line has the short yardage. So they all put it together and come up with a plan. So it's a collective effort. You're exactly right. So Mark says Napier's play calling is not a problem. I don't have a problem with it. I know some people are complaining about the double reverses, that stuff, but I can promise you, if the double reverses and things worked, people would be high-fiving and loving it, but they haven't. They've backfired. A couple of people have asked here, can someone explain what happened to the '84 team? It's a long, have somebody call you after the show and explain it to you, but it was just some NCAA violations back in the day that are perfectly legal now, by the way, perfectly legal. So anyway, all right, Scott, have you been on a lot of Miami shows or talked about the Hurricanes? Because I can't buy into the Miami Hurricanes for whatever reason.
Yeah, I really haven't. I mean, obviously, I've studied them some the last few days, and I know they're getting a lot of love from the media as a team that could have a breakout season. I think a lot of that has to do with their schedule. Obviously, I think Florida coming up to Gainesville is going to be one of their tougher games of the year, but after that, it gets a little easier for them. And then, Cam Ward, the new quarterback, programs always get a little boost when you bring in a veteran quarterback, but when you look at his track record, it's not like he's Jalen Hurts transferred from Alabama to Oklahoma or anything. He's still got a lot to prove in my eyes. I do think where Miami has done well, they've recruited well. Mario Cristobal has put it together, a solid roster, but they're kind of like Florida. I think their depth talent is a little deeper. Maybe the high-end talent's ranked a little higher, but they still have to go out there and prove it consistently, and that's where a lot of the Gator young players are. So I think in a lot of ways, they're in very similar situations. And of course, Mario Cristobal and Billy Napier are viewed as in very similar situations, entering year 3 of their tenure. So again, as much as we've talked about this game being so important for the Gators, Shane, it's also pretty important for Miami.
Yeah, there's no question. All right, last question. We'll get you out of here. Andy's question on Facebook Live brought to you by Mel Law. Scott, great feature you wrote on Jamarcus Weston. Do you think Billy will use him on defense?
I think he'll be a specialty package. He's a guy like, hey, man, it's 3rd and long. Just go in there and blow it and try to get that quarterback down. That's kind of what a designated pass rusher is. And, of course, he'll maintain his role on gunner, which is very valuable there.
Yeah, he's a special teams guy.
Yeah, it's funny, but, I think a lot of people, why are you right about Jamarcus Weston? He's a guy like, I won't be surprised if we see him in NFL in a couple of years. And yet, he hardly played here, but the NFL loves guys like that. I still remember when Trey Burton was here, a lot of the beat writers were like, man, that guy's never going to be in the NFL. I'm like, dude, the guy takes up 4 roster spots. Of course he's going to be in the NFL. He can play running back, receiver, quarterback, special teams. And of course, Trey Burton had a pretty decent NFL career.
Yeah, Jamarcus, it seems like he's been here like at least 6 years, right?
This is his 6th year, yes.
Yeah, he's been here forever. I feel like he was with Muschamp.
No, he wasn't that far. But
yeah, he's that typical athletic, just freak, but just can't find the right spot. You know what I mean?
Find the right spot, and finally when they find it, he can do something. So we'll see. It's one of those players that is intriguing because what if he carves out that role, gets a couple of key sacks, and people remember him, but it's going to he'll determine it on the field, obviously.
But you're right. He can make an NFL roster just on special teams. There's multiple people I played with, and still in today's world that's all they do. They're gunners on the punt team. They run down on, well, you don't really run down on kickoffs anymore in the NFL, but he can find a spot, but I think that's where his value is in special teams.
Yeah. And he's going to blow people away at the combine just with his pure numbers. So
yeah. Scott, we'll see you Saturday in the press box, my man.
Saturday at the Swamp, man. Finally, Shane. So look forward to it, and have a good week, buddy.
You too. Appreciate your time. That's Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com. Join us on the Titan Tomorrow hotline. Tropical Smoothie, the healthier lifestyle with our bold, flavorful smoothies, our amazing food. Tropical Smoothie, when you eat better, you feel better. This Day in Sports brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Put some star power to work in your financial life. Campus USA Credit Union. 2014, Burger King agrees to purchase Canadian donut chain Tim Hortons for $11.5 billion. I found out about Tim Hortons when I played for the Buffalo Bills. Graham's question before we get out of here on YouTube brought to you by Quality Plumbing. How will crowd noise affect the communication with the helmet system? Tex QB was having to cover his ear holes. You see guys in the NFL, even when I played, you can turn the volume up on those, but crowd noise can affect it. Again, college football, I don't think it's that big a deal because nobody huddles. So the only person really listening to that is the quarterback, and he's going to communicate with the O-line. Those skill guys that are all spread out are still looking at signals and signs and all that nonsense on the sideline. So, but the Swamp can definitely mess with the communication. Comfort Tip Heating and Air is looking for enthusiastic, motivated comfort specialists to join our team. $1,000 sign-on bonus after 90 days. Awesome benefits and the opportunity to grow with a winning team. Apply today at ComfortTemp.com. Comfort Temp Heating and Air. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. Again, thanks to JC and Scott Carter for joining us. Tomorrow we'll have Buddy Martin and Lamar Thomas, the old Buchholz Bobcat who went and played for the Miami Hurricanes. Have a great day, folks. See you tomorrow. Take care.